sort of a design. And for me, if you're able to get it into a 3D design, to be able to get some perspective of what your idea or your innovation looks like, is super powerful, so that when you're trying to describe it or share it with people, they can get a visual representation of, what they're trying to make, build, or invent.
Okay. And the users that come on and join the challenge, they don't necessarily need to own a 3D printer at all, do they?
No, not
what is the sort of software or platform that they're able to put these ideas to life? How do they do that?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Sure. So the guys and girls that do join the challenge and they don't have a 3D printer, how are they able to join the challenge? What software they use, platform they use?
Yeah, so we're actually just using an online-based, web-based platform. So if you've just got an internet connection, a web browser like Safari, Firefox, or even ideally Google Chrome, which is our personal preference, you're able to join the challenge. So you don't need much to get started. Also recommend a computer mouse. Does definitely help quite a lot.
And what then? So I jumped onto Thought Africa's challenge. I've now bought my lesson pack. How do I begin? Do you guys offer support? Is it something that I can work through? What does it look like?
2 times a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, we've got a open discussion where we get all the thinkers together, and they're able to discuss their innovations and what they're up to, and get input and feedback from other users and other participants. What you'll find in your lesson pack when you purchase it online, you're able to get videos, pictures, tutorials, a bunch of other things to teach you the entire design process behind actually coming up with some sort of innovative solution to solve a real world problem. So yeah, that's what you'll find within it.
All of that is done in one lesson pack. You've managed to pack all of that information into just a simple download.
So yeah, so it's a 30-page lesson pack. It actually just opens up into a Google Slides. The reason why we've left it into Google Slides is people can drop comments into the lesson pack if they want to have it as an anonymous or public comment. And it kind of just allows our users to engage as well.
Super interesting. Super interesting. Okay, then how do I go about actually, you mentioned sort of Tinkercad and how we do it. What happens then? If I want to show Thought Africa my design, do you guys see, do you have access to my Tinkercad?
So we ask if it's possible when you're completed with your design to either share it to social media via video or a picture. And you can tag us at Thought Africa and use the hashtag ThinkersPlay. And if you go and search the hashtag ThinkersPlay hashtag, you'll see a whole bunch of design challenges that were completed in the last 4 months of the year. So we do have quite a nice little bank there of innovations, which is quite cool to see.
Awesome. And from what I remember, if I understood you correctly, is I can design anything. Do I have free reign to let my creativity go wild, or is there something I need to is there a scope in that I need to stick to?
No, absolutely. The scope for us is based on a few things, but there's the one main particular thing is your design addressing a United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, and how is it bettering, adding value towards accomplishing the UN SDGs by 2030. So far, we've seen innovations to reduce inequality. So a 15-year-old girl created a toothbrush holder for someone that doesn't have limbs, so that they can brush their teeth. And another innovation from a 13-year-old boy, he came up with this turbine concept to generate electricity. And while that exists already, his concept is to create one that's DIY and accessible for home, where you can install it so that when you're running the water in your home, it's spinning a turbine, filtering your water, and Bob's your uncle, you got filtered water and a little bit of electricity generated. So some crazy ideas so far, but quite awesome.
Why do I have to? We're just really interested to hear why the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, as opposed to me just creating an iPhone cover or something else that I can just create that I need for something at home.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, we like to encourage people to explore their creativity and passion. So if that's what kind of will get you excited, is designing an iPhone cover or a remote holder for your PlayStation, that's totally cool. We just like to encourage using a United Nations SDG because essentially it's associated with what we see as solving a real world problem. And for us, that's really important, that when people are tying their passions together, they're tying a passion to something that's adding value to society. So at that point, when you're doing something like that versus an iPhone cover, you're not just behaving like a consumer, but you're also behaving like someone that contributes in society towards a much bigger cause. So the SDGs are there because it's just globally recognized, and it makes the most sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel a bit of pressure that sometimes I might have to create something that the world can use. But I think what you've explained now, by the sounds of things, as long as I have an idea, like you mentioned with the goal to reduce inequalities, I can use it in my own home as well then, right? It doesn't have to be like sort of global.
But what's also quite important to recognize, and I'm a strong believer in, if you can change one person's life, you've changed the world. So, your concept or innovation or design doesn't necessarily have to be something that's, globally recognized as a God's gift to Earth to be able to solve crazy problems. That's not what we're asking of anyone. If that is the case, that's an amazing result. But the priority is to allow for kids to find what they're passionate about. And if we can guide their passions into also solving a real world problem, bonus points.
Joel, I really liked it. I had a look at the challenge. I've seen the sneak preview that's on your website. And I'm just about to leave school right now, but my mom actually showed a bit of interest in this sort of thing as well, where she has no idea what 3D design is about. Is it too late for her to get involved or for her to take part?
Not at all. Not at all. So we're actually not age restricting this whatsoever. We do recommend it for kids between the ages of 9 and 17. But we've had questions of adults saying that they want to participate. But just as a warning to the adults, we've noticed that the creativity from the kids is they're not scared to be wrong. So they will try and try and try, no matter how crazy the idea or concept is, even if the odds are stacked against them. I've just quoted two extremely important people, which is Sir Ken Robinson, who's got a strong belief in the concept of kids' creativity and not being scared to be wrong. And then Elon Musk, he says if the odds are against you and you feel that way, it's probably that you could be right. I don't know the exact quote. I might not be paraphrasing exactly, but go check out those two people, Sir Ken Robinson and Elon Musk.
We'll do so. We'll put that up in the show notes at the end for everyone to have a look at. I've got a great idea and I'm really passionate about it, but I've also got another idea. Can I submit more than one? Or do I have to do one at a time or buy a second package?
100%. So you can submit as many designs and ideas as that you want to submit. And if you've got more than one thinker in your household, so you've got 2 or 3 kids and their siblings wanting to work on it, please feel free to just do the right thing. So purchase more than one package if you want to submit. Otherwise, just purchase one. We actually don't mind. We can't control where our content goes. And just as a side note quickly on that is our content, I would like to say, is open source. So if you want to go share our 3D design challenge after you've purchased it with your friends, go for it. But when they submit their challenge, unfortunately, they won't be eligible for the prize. But as long as we're sharing this content, we're happy.
Right. So you don't mind then me working with my siblings then? Can it be collaborative or does it have to be an individual submission?
100%. So you'll submit it as an individual. If you worked on it with your friends or your siblings, you guys are going to have to negotiate as to how you split up that prize. It will have to be your problem.
It doesn't sound too bad.
So I think what would also be appropriate in this call and our first live session is to introduce yourself as well. So, I'm known as Joel, the founder of Thought Africa, the T.H.I.S, and yeah, go for it. Who are you?
Well, Joel, thanks for the introduction. I am Matthew Schiff, the Director of Operations, or T.H.I.S, with Thought Africa, largely responsible for making sure that everything that you hear and see about Thought Africa is live to you in one way or another, whether it be through social media or our mailers or simple conversations back and forth. Joel and I work obviously very, very closely alongside one another. Less so now because of the distance, working from home. But we're in this together and ensuring that if you have any questions or uncertainties with any of our product, with any of our information, you know who the face and the name is behind it. My information is pretty much available anywhere for you to get in touch with as well. And that's, I suppose, it. And Matthew at Thought.Africa, all my information should be relatively quite easy to find. And that's Matthew with a double T for those who perhaps don't know, we're really excited to hear a bit more about the 3D challenge and what the submissions have been so far, Joel. When is the deadline due for this
26th
challenge?
of June. 26th of June. So if you haven't yet entered into the challenge, don't stress. There's still plenty of time. I suspect that a challenge could take you anything between 3 hours and 2 weeks to complete. That's just dependent on your personal interest in wanting to complete it. So I've seen kids put some crazy energy into getting it done faster than others. So yeah, 26th of June and plenty of time to still finish it.
So just before we lose you there, just for I suppose it's in the name. We've got Thinkers Play challenges, which is happening. This is just one of them being on 3D design. Does that mean we can expect to see more challenges later in the year?
100%. So actually, I think what would be cool is if we put it to the community what they want to see next month, as well as what they want to see as a prize. Why don't we do a voting system where we say like 3 options for the types of challenges, 3 options for the types of prizes. Highest vote wins the what those are going to be.
Sounds very good. And does it have to be in 3D design, or could it be anything really?
Yeah, so the challenges going forward for sure will be a whole range of other things. I don't want to let any kind of trade secrets go and what we have planned up our sleeve. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes out.
That sounds really good. That sounds really good. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning, and for those of you who were able to chime in. Joel, before we do shoot off of the live stream, our first live stream, let it be known, is there anything more that you would like to ask the audience, or is there anything that sort of last thoughts before we say goodbye?
Let's add the banner so that if there are any special guests watching us and they're patient enough to listen to us for close to 16 minutes now already, they get a little present there. So
it's a great reminder. For those that have tuned in or will later tune into the live video, you will see a banner pop up at the bottom here. Reason being is that we'd like to offer you a 25% off on our 3D design challenge entry by simply typing in Thinker25 into the checkout coupon code option. You will get 25% off. It is also known, Joe, I believe, just as a last thought here, whilst we're floating this around, that Thought Africa has something called an Educare initiative. And I saw something about 50 Rand. Could you mind just giving a couple of sentences around what that is and why I'm sponsoring 50 Rand towards it?
Yeah, so well, you're not necessarily sponsoring 50 Rand. We've opted to take 50 Rand out of our profit from the 200 Rand challenge, minus your discount, minus Educare, minus VAT, minus transaction fees. Leaves us with a very little bit, but it's worth it because the 50 Rand goes towards kids that are underprivileged and need to get access to education. So we're trying our best to provide them with these Educare packs, which include a whole range of educational content. It connects them to our live WhatsApp channel so that we're able to connect and communicate with them, going forward. And then they get free access to our Thinkers Play platform and dashboard. So Educare for us is a really extremely important project and is one of our major priorities in the company. And just as a side note, we do these challenges not just for the SDGs, not just for the sharing the thinking skills and so on, but to be able to fund this project. And that's just the truth. It kind of gives us that extra leg up to be able to go and do our bag drops. And for anyone watching, we are doing our 2nd or 3rd drop, which is coming up now in, I think we'll do it in the 1st week of June, if I'm not mistaken. We have a whole bunch of stuff being delivered, packaged, and will be going out very soon. Stay
tuned for that. Video will be going out soon as well. Joel, thank you very much. It was been great having you to find out a little bit more about your Thinkers Play challenge, and we'll connect again sometime soon.
Thanks. Cheers, Chef.